Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another edition of Best MMA Picks. I'm your host, JD, and we are getting these videos of ours out earlier in an effort to help people who want to get their analysis done ahead of time. So, this is a little bit unusual for us to be so far ahead of the game, but just getting all my shit taken care of here in life right now, getting the taxes done, getting the spring cleaning done, what have you, and making sure that all of our I's are dotted and our T's crossed. So why not? Why not get a video out early for you guys? There's not a whole lot of odds out right now, so we really won't discuss a whole lot of that. But I'll give my gut on the odds or what I believe the handicapping lines would be or what I think that they should be. And then you can compare them to whatever comes out, kind of formulate your own perspectives on what the good picks are. So we'll make this one kind of short and sweet. I'm just going to go over this. They don't have the card completely organized yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the top 6 fights and then give the gut picks for the bottom 7. And there are going to be a lot of changes, as we've already seen. Chris Weidman has actually been dropped from UFC 199, and he's been replaced rather quickly with Michael Bisping. So I think that this is going to be a pretty exciting match. Not that the Weidman Rockhold rubber match wasn't going to be exciting, but it might actually be a little bit better timing for Chris Weidman, and a little bit more to his advantage to wait on that fight a little longer. And I think Bisping's ready to step in and actually get his title shot finally. And I think he's got a decent chance at winning the fight too, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we get started, I wanted to let everybody know, the newcomers here that have not watched the show or that have not seen any of our breakdowns. Most of our breakdowns, almost all of them, are always gut picks or raw leans. So what that means is we don't release our picks until the day of the fight or the night before. And that's usually on our Capper Tech website, which you can find in our description of the video below. And we also release a link to the picks in our Twitter feed, which is at Best MMA Picks. You can also follow us on Instagram at Best MMA Picks. So make sure that you bookmark all those. I'm going to be creating a portal page soon with all the important links. We also have a discussion group on Facebook where a lot of pro handicappers get together, particularly ones that handicap MMA. And I suggest that you add yourself to our group. It's a public group. You do need to get an invite in, but you can request an invite from the page. That's also in the description below on this video. So make sure that you add yourself on Facebook and come in and be part of the community and the discussion. We got some pretty good discussion going in there pre-fight. So anyway, let's get this thing started off here, and I will move through them as quickly as I can. First fight that I'm going to break down here is the BJ Penn Cole Miller fight, the Prodigy versus Magrinho. And I wasn't aware that he had that nickname, but whatever. So BJ Penn and Cole Miller. BJ Penn just has kind of, everybody says that he needs to retire, but he comes back and he wants to fight more. And, I think it's more the money than anything. I don't know. I can't judge there, but I think that, if BJ wants to fight, all the more power to him. But he's definitely got the mileage on him. Cole Miller's got a little bit of mileage too, but I say he's a little bit more fresher fighter here. Both these guys mix it up fairly well. BJ Penn has some good boxing. He tends to take a lot of damage in the pocket though. And being the shorter guy here with the disadvantage of reach, I believe BJ Penn's got quite a disadvantage. I don't know exactly what his reach is. In fact, I'm a little curious, so I'm going to look it up right now. But I would imagine that he's at a significant reach disadvantage. Yeah, he's at almost a 6-inch reach advantage, which, according to Fightnomics, that's probably going to be somewhat of a significant disadvantage. So you got that there. I'm not sure what the lines are going to get handicapped at, but I would almost put Cole Miller at -150 or higher. I'd probably see it about a -160. to a positive 130. However, the lines may be a little bit more in favor of Cole Miller. I could see the lines shifting and moving out to negative 200 plus. So, but we'll see what happens on that. Cole Miller has a wide diversity of strikes, very good Muay Thai style striking. Uses a lot of knees, uses length very well, flying knees, spinning back fists, leg kicks, head kicks, full arsenal of different strikes. And somewhat unorthodox, tends to surprise guys, but he likes to get guys up against the cage and use that plum. He's a good striker, a good Muay Thai practitioner. BJ Penn is more of a boxer, scrapper. And then he's, of course, got that prodigy black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Definitely a guy who you don't want to end up on the ground with. I don't think that fight's going to go. I don't think the fight's going to go there. But you never know. He could get the fight to the ground, get a good takedown on Cole and get him to the ground. Cole's no joke on the ground, though, either. 71% submissions. He can hold his own. I don't know that he's a black belt. I'm not sure what his credentials are there. I haven't done a whole lot of research on this. As far as Cole Miller's credentials with the BJJ, I believe he might be a brown belt. I'm not seeing much here. Actually, he did. He received his black belt in 2012. So this is a black belt versus black belt fight. And this is a black belt under Ricardo Laborio. So decent black belt there. So yeah, if the fight goes to the ground, it's going to be a chess match. If the fight's on the feet, it's probably going to go a little bit in the favor of Cole Miller. So with that being said, my prediction for this fight is going to be Cole Miller to defeat BJ Penn via unanimous decision. Moving on to the next fight. Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Bobby King Green. Bobby Green's come off of a long layoff. I don't know. I think it's been about 1.5 to 2 years that he's been out of the fight game. Dustin Poirier has had a few fights recently. Last fight being, I think it was a TKO victory, if I remember correctly. Just so you guys know, I do all of these fight breakdowns impromptu. I don't have notes or any of that shit like a lot of people do. So it's all off of memory. It was the round 3 decision, unanimous decision over Joe Duffy, which I didn't see that coming as such a dominant victory. Hats off to Poirier for that one. I lost money on that one. So, or we all lost money if you tailed me. I thought Joe Duffy was I thought he's going to be a little bit more of a challenge for Poirier, but Poirier is at a new level. I would put him up there with the elite featherweights. I think that he's definitely coming into his own with his MMA. He's definitely developed into a complete MMA fighter on both the feet and the ground. He can hold his own either place. So he's got a couple of impressive victories. He's got one over Carlos Diego Ferreira, round 1 TKO victory. So the guy's no joke. He can bang with the best of the best. And Bobby Green is no joke either, though. Bobby Green is a very freakishly athletic and freakishly explosive boxer. Okay. Both these guys land significantly, at the same rate with significant strikes. They both have similar accuracy. They both, like to use, they like to fake shots to make shots. Basketball talk. So they definitely, they have some good footwork and good pinpoint striking, both of them. Say Bobby Green's a little bit more defensive, takes a little bit less risk. Okay. Definitely a little on the cautious side. His last fight, he was a little bit more tentative than usual from what we've seen, but he's always been somewhat tentative. Poirier is a little bit more willing to take risks to get the big rewards, to get the finishes. So takedown defense, a little bit better for Bobby Green. So statistically on pen and paper, this matchup should be somewhat even. But with the long layoff, you got to give more of an advantage to Poirier, being the fresher fighter, the one who's not coming in off of a long, being out of the fight game for so long. So, but on the pen and paper, everything looks like there are a few advantages in the favor of Green. So, he's definitely a live dog here. I don't see Poirier losing this one, though, because I just see him just continuously improving as a fighter and growing as a fighter. So my prediction here is for Dustin Poirier to defeat Bobby Green. I'm going to go by a submission. I don't know how the fight would end up on the ground, but I think that we're going to see something unusual here. We're going to see another side to Poirier that he's going to bring to the table. I don't think he's going to, I think the guy is just he keeps getting better with his fight game. He's very diversified as far as his attacks. Maybe we'll see another TKO. I don't know, but I definitely think he gets a finish here. Maybe we'll see a decision, but I think he's going to finish. I think Poirier is definitely a finisher. And the better that he gets, the more of a finisher he's going to be. So I predict a finish here of some kind. Probably more likely a TKO, but I'm going to go with a submission, maybe like a leg lock or something along those lines. So yeah, that's my prediction here. Bobby Green, don't count him out of the fight though. Definitely explosive, good fighter. I think he came in at a -2 or a positive 200 underdog. So just FYI, Poirier, you're going to be paying 2-1. So you might parlay him. Next fight, I'm actually looking forward to this one. Dan Henderson versus Hector Showweather Lombard, the Cuban Olympian judoist versus the Olympic wrestler Dan Henderson, the H-bomb signature move. This one should be pretty exciting. I don't know what weight this is going to take place at. I didn't look into that. I'm assuming Henderson, maybe Showweather's moving up on a weight class, but maybe Henderson's cutting more weight. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take place at. I have to look into that. That really probably is going to determine a lot of what's going to happen with this fight. So it looks like, let's see here, bear with me. I think Lombard's going to be moving up. So probably moving up to middleweight. Or it could be a catch weight, but more than likely he's going to be moving up to middleweight on this, and Henderson's going to be cutting down to middleweight, which he can do. He has done for several of his fights. But interesting fight here. Big speed advantage for Hector Lombard. Big cardio advantage for Hector Lombard. The age advantage as well, although he is getting up there in age too. I think he's got a little bit more mileage left on him than Henderson does. Can't count Henderson out of the fight. He's got that, that wicked right hand that keeps him in the game with just about anybody. But I don't know that Hector Lombard's going to give him a chance to use that. I think Hector Lombard's going to try to get him down to the ground, being that he's the older guy. If Hector Lombard's smart at all, he's not going to strike with him. There's a major speed advantage for Hector Lombard here. I just don't see Henderson being able to even get a hold of Lombard. He's going to be too fast, being that he's going to be the smaller guy moving up. He still has power and the ability to knock guys out, and he has the ability to take guys down to the ground and tire them out with his judo. So I'm going with my prediction here. I'm going with Hector Lombard to defeat Dan Henderson by ground and pound TKO. And I'm going to go with the second round, late second round. Next fight, we have Max Bless Holloway versus Ricardo the Bully Lamas. Very interesting fight between two top-ranked featherweight prospects. Max Holloway from Hawaii and Ricardo Lamas, the Cuban, the Bully. Both these guys have almost identical records, 15-3 for Holloway, 15-4 for Lamas. And Holloway strikes and lands significantly at about double the rate of that of Lamas. Okay, Lamas has the ability to take guys to the ground. In fact, he's got really good takedowns. It doesn't show in his statistics, but he actually has some really decent wrestling. Um, he's got good striking. Doesn't defend the takedown all that well. Max Holloway definitely has a much better takedown defense. He's got better footwork as well. Both of these guys have pretty decent striking and boxing. I'd say that the boxing and striking advantage definitely goes to Holloway. Holloway just keeps getting better and better every fight. I'm on the Holloway train here. Lamas has shown that he's had some issues with his chin before. He's been knocked out several times. I don't think that's a major issue. But I definitely think that maybe there's a question mark there with the chin. Holloway's got a great chin. The guy can take a shot. He's proven that. He's got those good genetics for that. He's a fighter. Holloway was born to fight. And he's got good speed and good footwork. His footwork just keeps getting better. Beautiful footwork. He's got a beautiful jab that he just tears people apart with. Got a good, solid arsenal of leg kicks, body kicks, you name it. He's got it. He doesn't have to take the fight to the ground. He can keep this one on the feet and he can win. And I think he's got the advantage on the feet. And I don't see Lamas being able to get him to the ground. I really don't. So my prediction here is for Max Holloway to defeat Ricardo Lamas by TKO. And I'd say probably about halfway point of the fight. If the line's at a 2.5, you might consider it underplay, but could be a little risky being that they're both featherweight. Okay. But that's my pick for that fight. And let's see here. We got the next one, co-main event. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, and I know everyone else is. Dominic the Dominator Cruz, Uriah the California Kid Faber, coming back here for that rubber match, that grudge match. Faber wants to get another win over Cruz for sure before he retires. I know this. And Cruz just absolutely loves, picking on those Team Alpha Fail or Team Alpha Male, however you want to look at it, fighters. Hats off to Team Alpha Male, though. I have respect for that camp. But I am definitely, a Dominic Cruz fan by heart. I've always one of my favorite fighters, one of the most intelligent fighters, in my opinion. I'm going to try to be completely unbiased with this matchup, though, between Faber and Cruz. I think Faber definitely has a shot to win him here, but I just don't see it happening. I really don't, unless he can get a hold of that chin of Cruz or, land a nice solid hook when Cruz is ducking in with the way he ducks and feints. I just really don't see that happening, though. It would have to be a really lucky timed shot for him to actually. That's really the only way that Faber's going to beat Cruz here. The wrestling, I just don't think he's fast enough to get a hold of Cruz. And I think Cruz got a little bit more power in his hands than he did in the last two fights. And I see Cruz just, as long as he stays healthy and he keeps his footwork, keeps those knees healthy, which, we just don't know sometimes. He had plantar fasciitis in one of his foots, or one of his feet. One of his feet, he had plantar fasciitis, which can really, I'm surprised that he did as well as he did with that in the Dillashaw fight. People want to, say how Dillashaw was, they want to make whatever excuse for Dillashaw. And the bottom line is Dominic Cruz is the better fighter. If he's fully healthy and his knees are, there, he can beat just about anybody, including Mighty Mouse. Okay, I'll go as far as to say that even with the improved Mighty Mouse, he would still give Mighty Mouse a run for his money or defeat him completely. So Mighty Mouse is definitely one of the best pound for pound, though. Okay, but I think Cruz is the only guy who could beat Mighty Mouse. He's done it before. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but if they ever do fight again, Mighty Mouse might move up, try to fight Cruz again. But Faber's definitely not fast enough. Okay, he's not fast enough. Maybe he'll be a little bit more aggressive this time around with Cruz and actually do a little bit more damage. But he was too tentative the last time that they fought. Too tentative with his striking if you watch the replay of the 5 rounds. And Cruz just outpointed him and won the points. He got the points. Okay. And the same thing's going to happen here. Okay. Unless Faber gets lucky. I just don't see him winning. I don't know what they're going to handicap this one at. I don't know if there's odds up. I didn't even really pay attention or look to see. No, there are odds. They've got it handicapped Dominic Cruz at -700, which I would agree with completely. I wouldn't put it that far though. I would put Faber at, I'd put Dominic Cruz at like a -300 or 400. I still think Faber, people are counting him out here. That's a little bit excessive for, Cruz, especially with the health problems that he's had. You just don't know what's going to be going on with Cruz coming into these fights. So there's some value there on the line with Faber, but I don't see him winning. I really don't. So my prediction is for Dominic Cruz to defeat Uriah Faber. And I'm going to go with a finish here. I think he's going to finish him. Cruz is going to go for a finish with Faber this time to prove a point. And it's going to be a finish. And I don't know if he's going to knock him out. I don't think Faber's going to get knocked out. I think he's got a good chin. I think Dominic Cruz is going to maybe try to finish him at his own game, like get a guillotine or a standing guillotine, or, with Faber on the ground, or TKO strikes. But I could see him trying to go for a guillotine or something crazy, getting a submission of some kind, just to prove a point, because that's how Dominic Cruz is. And he likes to talk a lot of shit, especially to Faber. So, but he backs it up. So, yeah, I see Dominic Cruz beating him. Might have a look at the under there. I could see a statement win on that one. The icing on the cake for Cruz. And the odds makers reflect that with what we've seen. So that's my prediction. Dominic Cruz to defeat Uriah Faber by submission. And I'm going to say third round. Last fight and the main event, the new main event between the current champion, middleweight champion, Luke Rockhold, and Michael the Count Bisping. Michael the Count Bisping coming off of a spectacular performance over Anderson Silva, the legend, the GOAT. Bisping, I think he got kind of handed that one a little bit, being in London and being undefeated in London. He definitely had the judges on his side there, and he was definitely the more beat-up fighter out of the two. So a little bit of a controversy there, but a lot of people gave that one to Bisping. I might disagree a little bit on it, but I think Anderson Silva could definitely beat Bisping. He was just fucking around, which kind of was a disappointment, but whatever. So he's getting his title shot, though. All the more power to Bisping. Good for him. I'm glad that he's finally getting that title shot ever since he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He's been working at getting to that point where he could get that title shot, and here he is. He's going to get a title shot, and it's actually not against Anderson Silva. It's going to be against the new champion, Luke Rockhold, who's coming off of a spectacular performance and dominant victory over Chris Weidman. Just completely obliterated Chris Weidman, which was a huge surprise to me. But Rockhold is at a new level now, and his Brazilian jiu-jitsu and his wrestling, his takedowns, he's at his new level where he's just dominating guys and just controlling them. And definitely is going to have an advantage on the ground if it goes there. Bisping's got some pretty good takedown defense, but it's not anything to phone home about. I definitely think he's prone to getting taken down. 64% takedown defense. Rockhold's definitely going to have the ability and the strength to get the fight to the ground. And I see him doing his traditional smothering that he likes to do with fighters. He's going to get him up on the cage and grind him against the cage and try to get a hold of his leg and get him to the ground where he can finish him, get him submitted or TKO. So, and Rockhold, I think he's very much capable of doing that. What are the odds on this one? I don't even know. I don't see here. I don't see any odds up yet for the main event. So they must be still handicapping that one. But since they pulled the odds. But I could see Rockhold coming in as like a -300 or 400 here. Bisping's no joke, though. He's got good striking. I definitely think he has the footwork and the boxing to land some nice shots on Rockhold, but I don't think he's going to have that power to really do that damage. If he wins, it's going to be by like a split decision, but I don't see him winning here. I see Rockhold retaining the title and possibly, finishing Bisping. Bisping's played a much better defensive strategy ever since he got KO'd by Dan Henderson. He's got a lot smarter about protecting himself. Okay. Not that he's not been prone to getting hit, but definitely he has a good defense against strikes. 66% defense. He absorbs a little bit more than Rockhold does, but Rockhold likes to strike out from a distance with his kickboxing. Okay. These guys both are high volume strikers at about four significant strikes landed per minute. Okay. Bisping, I think, has a little bit more of a durability issue. Rockhold can take a punishment, and he's strong. Strength advantage goes to Rockhold. Okay. Speed advantage slightly goes to Michael Bisping. Okay. Footwork, I would say, goes a little bit more to Michael Bisping. He's probably a little bit more of a developed striker, although Rockhold's got some great power strikes. Okay. He's got a full arsenal when it comes to kickboxing. So it's that traditional AKA fighting kickboxing style. So yeah, I think that with the ground advantage in those submissions, though, we're going to see Luke Rockhold really try to grind Bisping out, try to get him down, and I think he will eventually be successful there, being that it's going to be 5 rounds. And if he gets him to the ground, he's just going to punish him. And I see him probably getting a finish within the first couple minutes of getting Bisping down to the ground. So my prediction is for Luke Rockhold to defeat Michael Bisping by submission. And I'm going to say that Bisping I say Bisping will probably last 2 or 3 rounds. I think he could be pretty evasive. He's got good footwork. Okay. And if he plays the defensive role that he has played and he's careful enough, he might even be able to steal a couple rounds. So keep that in mind. Just be careful. But I do think Rockhold here is the better fighter. Okay. So yeah, those are my predictions for the main card. And I'm just going to go over my gut picks real quick. And I'm just going to tell you straight up if I'm not familiar with the fighters here. Okay. Polo Reyes, Dong Young Kim, the maestro from South Korea. I've seen Dong Young Kim fight before. Haven't seen a whole lot of footage on him. Polo Reyes, I'm not super familiar with. I'm going to go with Dong Young Kim to get the job done here. I think he's going to get a decision victory. Kevin King Casey and Elvis Matopkick. Both these guys have the same nicknames, which I think is kind of funny. One from USA, one from Bosnia. A lot of people were high on Matopkick coming into the UFC. I wasn't all that impressed. In fact, I faded him, and I was a winner there. My prediction was an underdog pick against him, and that was a winner. So people, thought I was crazy once again. But that's whatever. That's fine. Kevin Casey's got a black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Gracie under the Gracie camp. Very high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So with this one, if it goes to the ground, which I don't think it will, I could definitely see Kevin Casey getting a submission. If it stays on the feet, you got to give a slight advantage to Matopkick, although Casey's gotten better with his boxing, being that I think his spouse is like related to Muhammad Ali or something like that, or one of the other famous boxers. So he has some mentors there to work on his boxing, and he's definitely gotten better with that. Whether or not it's going to be a huge difference maker here, I don't know. So, but my prediction here, I'm going to go with Kevin Casey to get eke by a decision. Okay. Next fight, we've got Jonathan Wilson, Johnny Bravo, against Luis Henrique da Silva. Both these guys are light heavyweights. Going to go with Jonathan Wilson to get the job done here. And I'm going to have him go and defeat Luis Henrique da Silva by KO. Next fight, we have Sean Strickland and Tom Breese. I'm going with Strickland here. I think Tom Breese had a little bit of trouble his last fight. I was super impressed with the way Sean Strickland is developing himself as an MMA fighter. I think he's going to be at the top of the elite class here pretty soon if he can keep getting those wins. And I think he just keeps getting better. He's a smart-ass fighter. High fight IQ. I made the mistake of betting against him. I thought Alex Garcia was going to be the better fighter and the stronger fighter. Sean Strickland came in with an A-plus game plan, and I think he's going to come in with a similar game plan with Tom Breese and going to attack the weaknesses of Tom Breese. He's got good coaches. I'm going with Sean Strickland to defeat Tom Breese by decision. Not to mention he has tremendous heart, too. Jessica Penn versus Jessica Andrade. This is a tough one for me, somewhat. Jessica Andrade is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt. Okay, so she doesn't have super high credentials there. She's got pretty good wrestling and takedowns, though. She can get submissions as well. Good boxing and footwork. Good takedown defense. She's developing still as a fighter, but she's definitely a good fighter. Definitely a threat to the division. Jessica Penn, I think she's going to have an advantage on the ground. She's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Have a huge advantage if the fight goes to the ground. Jessica Andrade is not going to want to take this fight to the ground. On the feet, maybe a little bit of advantage for Jessica Andrade. Okay, she definitely strikes at a much higher rate, has a much higher output. So I'm going to go with, boy, this one's a tough one for me. I'm going to go with Jessica Andrade to get an upset here. Don't think it's going to happen on the ground. If she gets to the ground, she's going to probably be in trouble. I think she'll have enough skills, being that she trains out of Brazil, to ward off a submission, but she'll be at a major disadvantage on the ground. So I'm going to give her the advantage on the feet with her footwork and her Muay Thai. I'm going to say that she gets a decision here. Moving on, we've got Beneil Dariush and James the Texecutioner Vick. James Vick had issues with getting taken down his last fight. Beneil Dariush has some of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in his weight class. He's going to definitely be going for those takedowns and exploiting that hole that James Vick has in his game. Hopefully James Vick has learned from his last fight and he's sealed those holes and worked on that takedown defense, because he's going to need it here against the black belt, Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is coming off of somewhat of an upsetting loss. We actually had him as a pick. I was very upset. He was a pretty heavy favorite, and I thought he was going to be an easy one. But his chin just so happened to not hold up. So sometimes that happens with fighters. Sometimes they get caught. But you got to give more of the advantage to the wrestler. And the wrestler here is Beneil Dariush. He's got that outstanding ground game and that super high fight IQ. I think he's going to be much more careful, and he's going to guard his chin a little bit better. But James Vick's got that outstanding stand-up. He could definitely finish a fight and knock a guy out. And he's got that reach. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. Not to be too significant, I think Beneil Dariush could close the distance on him, get the fight to the ground, and possibly get a submission. I think James Vick's going to be outclassed on the ground with Beneil, and Beneil will hold him down rather easily. So my prediction here is for Beneil Dariush to defeat James Vick by round 2 submission. And the last fight here, I've got Brian T-City Ortega, Clay Guida, the Carpenter. Brian Ortega is a tough-ass dude. I've doubted this guy every time that he's fought, and I've lost because of it. And I'm not doubting this guy again. I think that this guy is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist and genius. This guy is a pioneer in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is a black belt, if I remember correctly, and he is a Gracie black belt. Trains with the likes of Henner Gracie down in California at the Gracie Bar Academy. He also coaches kids as well. He's involved with the community there. Not the best striking. He's been very, we'll just put it this way. He was losing on the feet to Diego Brandao, which Diego Brandao is a good striker, Jackson Wink fighter, but not the smartest when it comes to conserving his gas tank. And he was losing. He's getting his ass kicked by Diego Brandao, and got his ass taken down twice too. But Brian Ortega, man, the last minute he gets a hold of Diego Brandao, submits his ass, round 3 submission for the win. Very upsetting because I had Diego Brandao as an underdog play. Diego Brandao is 2-1. You would get two double back what you put down on Diego. And he was doing great. He was winning the fight the whole time until that 3rd round. He just kind of pittered out. Very disappointed in Diego. Last time I'll ever probably pick him in a fight. But with that being said here, Brian Ortega, he's a masterful Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. And I think he's got good enough striking here to strike with Clay Guida. I think he'll probably just keep improving on his striking. Okay? Clay Guida likes to go for takedowns. Okay? And he's a good wrestler. And he's good with the transitions and the timing of those takedowns. But if he takes Brian Ortega to the ground, Clay Guida is going to be in for a whole world of hurt. He's going to get his ass triangled. And that big old noggin of his is going to get locked up in a triangle, and he's going to get choked out, and he's going to be put to sleep. My prediction here is for Brian Ortega to defeat Clay Guida by submission. Probably last at least 2 rounds, and we could see a similar situation that we did last time, where Guida might be winning a little bit on the feet due to the inexperience of Brian Ortega on the feet. But I just see Brian Ortega just finding a way to win, pulling out that rabbit out of his hat like he did with his last fight. 10-0, and I think he's going to be 11-0 after this fight. So that about does it for my predictions. Hope you enjoyed them. Hope that it helps you with formulating your decisions with your picks and your betting. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you add us to the groups in the description below. And we will have another video out soon, hopefully. Please give us a thumbs up. Those thumbs up, we got 15 thumbs up on our last video. And it really helps our channel a lot. We do everything here for free. We're not charging people for these picks. Occasionally, I might be advertising a product here or there to people that I think that might enjoy some of the products that we might be having sponsors with. Hopefully, nobody minds that. It's just a way for us to fund the channel. I have to make a living somehow. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much for your support. Please retweet as you see fit. Give us a +1 on Google. Give us a thumbs up on our channel. We really appreciate that. We remember the people that support us. So everybody have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the fights coming up next week. And we'll see you at the cash window.